All right, what's up, everybody? What's cracking? We're back here on the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast, post-NBA All-Star Weekend. Brockman here with Adam and TJ. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Say what's up to my running mates, because, you know, we're running the break right now.
Yeah, what's up to my running mates? But like I said before, like if I'm bringing the ball up on a fast break, I'm shooting a pull-up three-pointer because that's what I do.
All right, well, you were going to pull you out of the game with the quickness then.
Why? Because it goes in.
Well, as long as it goes in.
It goes in
Yeah.
once, but then you miss the next 7 in a row.
Yeah.
Great. Shooter's mentality, Reggie Miller's style of shooting.
Only difference is you ain't Reggie Miller.
I mean, I used to be. Great All-Star Weekend, guys. Kind of started off slow with Saturday night. But
Friday was good. Saturday was...
Yeah, Friday was good. Saturday was kind of dunk contest, not so much. But three-point shootout was great. I think we all agreed that should probably be the nightcap on Saturdays now, or some sort of retooling. We can get to that in a minute. But the game was awesome. The game on Sunday was great. The halftime festivities with the 75th anniversary team was great. Michael Jordan showing up last when people didn't really know if he was going to show up at all because it was the Daytona 500 on Sunday. And, of course, he owns a team. Bubba Wallace is his main driver. Nearly won the race. Was Mike going to make it in time? Shows up last. Got the loudest ovation. It was so awesome. What were your guys' thoughts, Adam, first on the All-Star Weekend?
Well, I think the best part about the All-Star Weekend was the 75th anniversary. Having all those players in one spot at one time, seeing all the videos on Instagram. It was just cool to see that amount of respect that you could tell from the different generations of players that they had for each other. So that, to me, superseded the game, superseded the three-point shootout. It was just the fact that all those legends gathered in that one spot. And the highlight for me was when Jordan was announced, because I watched all the videos before where they're taking the 75th anniversary pictures, and he was not
in the
there.
background.
Yeah, and he wasn't there. I was looking for him. I was like, is Mike really not coming today? Like, that kind of stinks. Like, you would think like all his friends are there, Magic Johnson, Rodman, everybody was there. And so I was like, man, that kind of stinks. And then when I was watching the game at halftime, and all of a sudden they announced Michael Jordan, 5-time MVP or whatever it was. And it seemed like he just came out of nowhere in true GOAT fashion. Like, I kind of lost it. I was like, oh my God, like, he's here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, TJ, when they do just regular introductions for warm-ups for any basketball game, usually the guards are announced first, kind of, and then maybe the center and then the forwards are last. But they flip the switch on announcing the team. Do you think they did that because Mike wasn't there yet, so they're like, hey, drag this out as long as possible. He just landed. He's in the car. We got to go slow. Let's do the guards last.
I think it probably was going to be that way anyway. Mike was probably...
he was going to be the last one announced?
Yeah, and I mean, if you follow Esty Portnoy, who works very closely with Jordan Brand, like his business manager, I'm not sure exactly what her title was, but it's very high ranking in the world of Michael Jordan. On her Instagram story, them at the race with Bubba, and then them on the plane, and it was just like on our way to All-Star Weekend. So it was like, they hopped. I mean, I guess they immediately, the second the race was over, hopped on the PJ, got up to Cleveland, and he walked out, and it was dope. Like it was weird
cool,
when they were announcing the players. It kind of hit me during that. I'm like, man, I haven't seen MJ at all during any of this, but then he popped up, so I was like, all right, bet. I didn't even realize that the car race had been going on previous to that, so I was kind of oblivious to that.
It also looks like Michael might have had a few cocktails before the events. Like
Everybody.
He was in a very celebratory mood, hugging Luka,
Yeah, those
hugging
videos
Rodman,
were so cool. Like challenging Magic Johnson to one-on-one. Like, it was so awesome.
By the way, I wanted to put this on Twitter, but I never get any response on Twitter, so I figured I'd save it for the podcast. I've watched so many of those videos behind the scenes.
Yeah.
What is up with Michael Jordan always trying to sneak up on somebody? Did you notice that like every video was Mike down there trying to sneak up behind somebody and grab him around the waist? It's
like Big Bear, I think he did it to Giannis too.
He did Giannis, Luka, Jerry West, LeBron. I mean, it's like you're 6'6", Mike. You're not sneaking. But there's at least 3 videos where you see Mike like doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh, did you see him with Steph?
Did you
see him with Steph Curry also? What he was doing of Steph? He was literally behind Steph, and he was like rubbing the back of his head. It was really weird. It was like really weird what he was doing, but you could just tell he was in just a really happy mood. That was great
mood. Obviously, so many tequilas probably were flowing.
Oh man,
my God.
judging from my time, and this is just me personally, the time that I got to spend with Michael Jordan, there was a lot of 1942 going on at that moment. So
he's got his own tequila, Sincoro.
So who knows? But, I wanted to talk about this on the main show, but this is a perfect place for it. Chris and Adam, unfortunately, you haven't gotten to see this yet in person, but Chris, when we traveled to Canton, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and, we do our show from there, and before I even got to go, you would describe this to me. Yeah. And you'd be amazed. You're like, bro, let me tell you what happens. We're in the room. There's a glass wall, and it's like a fish tank. And you would describe how everyone's walking back and forth. And it's one thing to have somebody tell you about it. It's a whole other thing when you get to sit there and go, oh, my goodness, there's Tony Dorsett, and there's Bruce Smith, and there's Randy Moss. Oh, Jerry Jones. And it's incredible. And you get this feeling of like that's your entire childhood staring in front of you. I want to talk about this NBA 75 because truly, and I've said this before, I know we're football driven on the Rich Eisen Show, but basketball is my personal favorite sport. Mm-hmm. To sit there and watch those guys, and those were all, like, I don't really use the word idol too much because as I've always said, I've had two sports idols. I mean, guys that I truly just idolize. That was Muhammad Ali and this guy behind me, Dr. J. But because I love basketball so much, like, all of those guys are like bigger than life to me. So watching these guys like just get introduced and kind of, interact with each other. It was one time where I was like, man, if there was somewhere I wish I could have been, it would have been in that proximity within earshot just to maybe hear some stories and some trash talk, but just to see the camaraderie that the greatest basketball players of all time had with one another. Right. I thought it kind of took away the bad taste of the dunk contest for me personally because that's whatever. But that, man, that was special.
Yeah, and hearing you say that makes me think about what Isaiah Thomas said on kind of the post show on NBA TV afterwards. Not sure if you guys flipped over, but
yeah
he was saying, there were a lot of guys who didn't show up.
Yeah, for whatever.
For whatever reason.
But Chris, not to interrupt you, I just found out today Kevin Durant's grandmother died that day. That's why he wasn't there. I didn't know that till a few hours ago.
Yeah. But some of the guys weren't there. Scottie Pippen wasn't there. Steve Nash. Larry Bird wasn't there. Whatever reason they had, maybe they had a prior commitment that they couldn't get out of or didn't want to travel. I know Bill Russell didn't travel, right? Willis Reed. But Isaiah Thomas was like, look, this is something that's so special. You're going to remember this for the rest of your life. And having the interactions with everyone and just the conversations and seeing everybody, it just meant so much to him. You could kind of see it in the way he was describing the night. I just can't imagine what that would have been like. Like you mentioned, just a kind of a fly on the wall. It was so cool. I mean, thankfully, some people were tweeting things out and posting videos on Instagram so we could, get a moment like Michael Jordan challenging Magic Johnson to go get your shoes right now. We'll go play right now. And Mike was serious. Yeah. He was not joking.
And Magic laughed it off, and the phone, I assume, cut back to Mike, and he was stone-faced.
He's like, are we going to do this or what? And by the way, Mike looked good. Looks like he's lost
some weight, it looks like. Yeah.
Just, Adam, it's just such a special moment, a special weekend, the 75th anniversary. It was so cool as a basketball fan to see all of that.
I think it was the best celebration for fans ever because the last time they had this type of celebration was 1997.
Yeah, the 50th,
and social media didn't exist at that time.
Yeah, it was a different time.
So we were able to see stuff in real time and real moments, and that was so special about it that we had this access that we've never had before. So that was really cool to see all these videos on Instagram and Twitter and seeing the reactions to that.
Yeah, and the cool part was that the game kind of lived up to the moment of the halftime. I mean, that halftime took forever, so I couldn't imagine how those guys felt.
Well, there was maybe 5-6 guys in the game that were also in the ceremony.
Part of it, and so you could see like got Giannis and those guys. They had the special jacket over their warm-ups.
Shout out to Jeff Hamilton who made the jackets. I was watching NBA TV before.
Wasn't it cool?
You see when he gave Isaiah his jacket?
Yeah.
And he made the 97 jackets, and they were really like
he's like leather kind of Letterman jackets.
And he really made these he toned them down a little bit, but it was still the inside patch. Jeff Hamilton jackets, if you don't know, go from anywhere from $500 to $5,000, and I'm sure these jackets were one of ones or probably on the higher end. But the jacket itself was great, with the Leatherman look.
I don't mean to brag, but I do have a Jeff Hamilton jacket from 1998, the Bulls 6th championship.
Wow,
I got
look at
it.
you.
I got it as a bar mitzvah gift from Sam Goldberg. So shout out to Sam Goldberg. I have a Jeff Hamilton Bulls jacket.
And I'm pretty sure
to this day.
I'm pretty sure, Adam, when they were doing the story on him before the game, I'm pretty sure he held that jacket up. It was definitely a Bulls jacket, and he said, "This might be my favorite one of the collection." And I think it was the 6th ring jacket that he
Man, you got to post a picture of that.
It's probably at your dad's house, though, right?
Yeah, it's at my dad's, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that part was so cool, and I couldn't imagine what it like to go back out there and try to play a game when you're ice cold after a nearly hour halftime of, that moment. It was great. It was the All-Star weekend. The game capped off. It was fun ending. Steph Curry trying to get the scoring record. And
that was
the
just
way he
insane.
was just like some of the shots he had, like the nearly half-court shot where there was a still image on Twitter I saw where the ball was not even at its peak, and he's already turned around running back on D because he knows it went in, and was like a 35-foot jumper. The one from in the corner after they passed it all around, and
Nick Young could never.
Nick Young could never.
if you get that reference.
And the one where he's in the corner and he turns around, and he looks at the kid, and he's like, "Did it go in? Did it go in? Right? Cool."
And the kid was like, "Yeah."
The kid was like, had his phone out, like there's a still image with he's got his phone.
And Bill Murray was there. He was looking in awe at that time.
By the way, Lil Wayne, I was looking at like Lil Wayne and Bill Murray sitting right next to each other. I would love to have heard what that come.
That's another great thing about the All-Star game is all the celebrities that go there and all the weird pictures you see, like the weird matchups, like you said, Lil Wayne, Bill Murray. Who would ever expect that? But that's a great picture.
I told you need to get that as a full back tat.
Hey,
just that photo.
Speaking of weird pictures, this is me from the 2005 All-Star game, and I'm sitting courtside. As you can see, it goes Beyonce, who performed at halftime, Jay-Z, me, and then Ashton Kutcher. And it's one of these pictures that you go, wait a minute, somebody does not belong here. And I'm just going to tell you that someone was me, as you can tell by the picture. I don't know why I was there.
Is that like a top 5 moment in your life, maybe, when you think about it?
Absolutely. Because here's why, and I'll make this quick. We spoke on the show about this. With the All-Star game, it's first half, usually first 3 quarters. It's all about the show.
The first quarter was terrible. Just guys like giving lanes.
Yeah, we'll give you lanes, but it's a show. They understand it's the show. But the fourth quarter, these guys want to win this game. So it was a case where Ashton had 3 tickets. One was next to him courtside. The other one was, across the court about 10 rows up. Tremendous seat. But me and my friend Terry, we were trying to decide, all right, who gets this ticket for what half? And realizing that they were really going to ball in the second half, I'm like, you take the first half. I'd rather just sit and watch. And it just so happened, I'm sitting next to Jay-Z. And the entire game, guys, when I tell you I had Jay-Z laughing, because that's right around the time when it was rumored he was going to buy Brooklyn. And for whatever reason, Jamal McGlure was going off. And I just kept making references to Jamal McGlure being a good fit in New York and kind of elbowing Jay-Z. And he would literally, the dude laughed at almost everything I said that day. So yeah, it was one of those incredible moments in life for sure.
Yeah, and the way they fixed the ending with the Elam ending, and they add 24 to the winning team for Kobe, and they kind of redesigned the MVP trophy, which they named after Kobe.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's so amazing. They've really fixed the game part of it. I just wish they would fix. We talked about it on the Eisen Show earlier in the week, but I just wish they would fix Saturday night. That just needs a few tweaks.
And I know on the show the other day, your stance was they should just get rid of it. But I think that might have been just for show. What we talked about pre-show about giving them some incentives, Adam, to make sure that the Ja Morants and people of that nature come out and dunk. If they're going to continue to do this, maybe raise the rim up 10.5 feet, because Ja made that comment in game to Reggie Miller where he was like, 10 feet's not that high. So maybe go 10.5. I think 11's a little too much. You could risk injury. Give them some incentives, whether it be charity or whatever. Just get these stars, because you need stars to push this contest. And I think that's the way to do it.
I think it has to be a financial incentive. I don't think the 10.5-foot rim really matters that much. But if they give these guys enough money, either personal or for charity, I think that's what can bring them out. I think they just have to raise the stakes big time on that.
Well, I mean, I only bring up the rim because Ja actually made note. He said that. So it's okay, well, if 10's not high enough, take you up half a foot.
And that's kind of why the three-point shootout is past the dunk contest, because the big stars kind of do the three-point shootout. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is a big star, and he ended up winning the event. Steph Curry's done it in the past.
Trae Young,
Dame does it. Like a lot of these
Zach
guys,
LaVine.
a lot of these guys do the three-point shootout. Maybe less energy than kind of trying to come up with some dunks and practicing them on your own time.
But there's a way we talked about even making that better. Move, set it 23 feet for the three. Or make it 26, or put a specific Steph Curry logo somewhere 35 feet back and go like, this is 15 points or something. If you want to run back there, hit that. There's ways that both of these could be
I think
tweaked,
just small little tweaks can make both of them better. But, whether it's maybe we do like a team aspect or everything has to be alley-oops for the dunk contest.
Or I don't know if Adam brought this up the other day. You get some of these. There's celebrity dunkers on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That was a
Maybe
good point.
pair up an NBA player with a celeb dunk. There you go. Get these celeb dunkers, have them recreate the all-time greatest dunks along with an NBA
and turn it up,
as a tutor or a coach.
I was watching videos online. There's dudes that are just on the playground or like in a local rec center who are making dunks that would easily be 10s across the board if they had those in the dunk contest. There are better dunkers outside of the league than there are in the dunk contest.
Yeah,
I also think maybe like a 1 to 10 point scale is like kind of too arcane a little bit. Like, what if we did all the dunks out of 20? Because like the difference between a 10 and a 9 is maybe not the same as a difference between a 20 and a 19. You see what I mean?
I got you there.
If you have the most perfect dunk, maybe that's a 20. But whereas it's an 18 dunk is really good, but an 18 dunk would be better than a 9 dunk, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, if you have kind of a whack dunk, it's like, oh, that's an 8.
But don't you think that, like, if you take the points up higher, then it's even more room for some weird stuff? Like, I'm going to give you a 13. Like, well, why? Like, what's that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to spitball here.
What about a horse? Do you guys like the idea of horse, maybe? Or is that kind of boring?
That's kind of like a skills challenge
horse
thing,
for
right?
dunks, though?
Not necessarily, just horse in general, if that became an event.
I think that could fall into the skills challenge, though, right?
Didn't they try to do that 2-ball thing with like
I remember Steve Nash did that.
Did it with a retired player, a WNBA star, and a current player.
Yeah, that's
those
right.
were kind of fun. I don't know, just something.
I like that idea, Chris, what you just said about also getting WNBA involved into it, just to help grow their brand in that league. Yeah. So, get some of the women from the league to come in. That was a good. They didn't do that. I like that team aspect. You take cities, right? You had the Cleveland teams and the LA teams and whatever. I like that idea.
All right, let's move on and get to some actual news across the league with games picking back up on Thursday with not a full slate, but a good Thursday amount. So one of the big things to come out of All-Star Weekend was the health of Chris Paul. Stop me if you've heard this before. Got a situation with his thumb. He's going to miss about 8 weeks. TJ, we talked about this on the main show. Because one of the topics for Overreaction Monday I had was, does this kind of kill the Suns' title chances? And you were like, no, because he's getting the injury out of the way now before the playoffs like he normally does.
Yeah.
Do you think this Chris Paul situation hurts the Suns' title hopes?
When I said this about 2 years ago when I first joined the show, I gave about a 10 bullet point outlook on the Clippers and their bad history of injuries. And 6 of those bullet points were Chris Paul getting hurt at various times, either during the playoffs, going into the playoffs. Hamstrings, thumbs, fingers.
Everything. It all has happened. So
I would say, maybe Chris Paul did get the injury out of the way a little bit earlier this time, so it doesn't happen at a bad place in the play. Remember even last year, the shoulder injury. When he against the Lakers, I think it was the Lakers, and the way the guy hit the ground, you were like, "Oh, Chris Paul's career is over. This dude's never playing again." Yep. So maybe this is like the injury gods, like letting Chris get this injury out of the way early, and then he could just be healthy for the playoffs.
I think this actually, I think in a weird way, this actually helps the Suns because think about all the time he'll have to rest and recover. He's going to be able to rest his legs.
Yeah,
he's got old ass legs. You know what I mean? Like he'll have time to recuperate. I think he'll be healthier than ever going into the playoffs. So as long as he doesn't get injured,
he can still do cardio.
Exactly, he still can do cardio. He won't have to have the constant pressure on his knees from the games and
work on his offhand.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. This guy, yeah, exactly. He's gonna change everything about his skill set in 6 weeks. But I think he'll be ready to go by the playoffs, and this will help him more than ever.
Does this open the door now for the Warriors to kind of come back and take control of the West? They're 6.5 back.
The Suns would have to completely collapse, right?
No Chris Paul, though, but I mean, I don't know.
But I like Campaign as a backup, though. I think he'll hold down the fort. I still think the Suns will be the West first seed when it's all said and done, but I still like the Warriors overall, though, in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
But
okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said last week, I think the Suns have a good enough cast of, not main event guys, but like I said, the wrestling analogy, mid card guys who can do a lot of things really good, and because of that, they'll be able to keep that ship afloat. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the East. Kyrie has said that. Wait and see who we are coming out of the break. Don't judge us now, but judge us who we are coming out of the break. Okay. Ben Simmons has looked like he's ramping up and is going to play soon, maybe against that March 10th date against Philly.
There's no way he has the balls to do that.
Let me tell you what game
shocked.
he won't play.
I will be so shocked.
You would be
if he goes back to Philly and plays that as his first game. There's no way he doesn't have the balls to do that. He's too scared.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate FU though? If he he never wanted to play with Doc and Embiid again after the playoffs last year,
he is so
sat
fragile.
Out, forfeited $20+ million, got himself to Brooklyn. Kyrie's like, look out. And then he shows up in Philly and they beat the Sixers.
His brain will explode. His brain will literally explode from all the booze. He will not know what to do with himself. He will cower in the corner and he will run into the tunnel. There's no way he's playing in that game.
What if he comes out and just starts making it rain from 3-point line? Like, how pissed would you be, TJ?
I tell you what, I'm not really for us having a guest too much on here until we get fully established. But you know who I would be down to have a guest? The crumb bum guy from that video. I would love to see, because my man is going to be in the building on that night, because he said if Ben Simmons is on this team next year, there's going to be a problem.
Dude, they're going to be throwing like cheesesteaks at him if he's at the game. Like, there's no way he's going to last.
And here's the thing, right? And again, I don't want to touch the mental health aspect, because if it's a real thing, it's a real thing. Yeah. If it's not a real thing, then shame on you, Ben Simmons. But here's the deal. Here's what upsets me. The fact of the matter is, my whole thing was send him as far away and as bad of a situation as you can. This dude somehow, after all that, lucked into one of the 5 best teams in basketball. Also, at a team where his particular skill set
is perfect.
It's perfect, and his lack of skill set it won't even matter on that team. So yeah, it's kind of like, wow, man, you really just came up, Ben Simmons, didn't you?
Yeah,
and so that's kind of
failed up a little bit. Not to fail up that Philly was a bad spot, but it was obviously a great spot, but he was never going to play there again.
And Chris and Adam, what's better for him, landing in Brooklyn or in Sacramento? Because that's where I would have shipped him quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Orlando or something.
But think about the psychology
of this.
Not even
Orlando. There's no state tax and it's sunny. I ain't sending them there. Send them out to Sacramento. I don't know what goes on over there.
They just make bad draft picks, picking Marvin Bagley over Luka. Other than that, they're doing okay.
Isn't Chris Webber calling it a cow town or something?
Yeah.
When he left?
But think about the psychology. Why would Ben Simmons first come back against Philadelphia? He should come back against just a random team like Oklahoma City. There's no way the first game he should come back against is Philly.
And here's the thing. Ben Simmons has gotten such bad advice throughout all of this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it play perfect that he's like, my first game back is against Philly and Philly?
Nothing's going to surprise me.
I want to prove something to them.
Nothing would surprise you. And then on top of Shams' report today, Wednesday, that New York City has a plan to phase out the vaccine mandate in the coming weeks, which means guess who's back? Kyrie, back for home games. Hey, now, just like it all worked out for him.
I'm going to tell you something. All right. I'm just going to say this right now. If the Nets
win the title,
there's going to be a problem. Okay.
Them crumbums.
These crumbums. I don't know I'm not going to do anything, obviously, but I'm going to be very upset.
Are Simmons and Kyrie the 2 biggest crumb bums in the league?
Well, they're certainly 2 of the most unlikable guys in terms of just what, and that Brooklyn team in general. I know people have certain feelings toward Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Complete opposite of Rich's take on Steph Curry of being unbooable. Not so much with the Nets.
The Nets are the most booable?
It might be, yeah.
But isn't that crazy? Like, Kyrie's gambit seemingly will have paid off. Like, the Nets are still in a position, quick look at the East standings. They're 8th right now. But as we mentioned before in past podcasts, 1 through 10 in the East is 9.5 games. 1 through 6 in the East is 4.5 game difference. Miami and Chicago tied for first. Boston is 4.5 back in the 6th spot out of the play-in. But Kyrie was like, "Look, I'm just gonna sit out. I'm not gonna play. I don't like the opinion of the
Scientists and
city
smart
of New
people.
York and what the mandate is and what have you." And it looks like he's gonna, kind of get his wish and get his way, and he's gonna be back playing a full slate of games for Brooklyn. I know they've been bad even with him. I think they're 4-10 when he plays, but that has a lot to do with James Harden. He was quote unquote hurt and trying to force his way out. Kevin Durant's been hurt, but fully healthy now with Kyrie. Now a Game 7 in Brooklyn in the playoffs. Now he will be playing. They your favorite now, Adam?
I've said from the start they're my favorite. I mean, I kind of knew this vaccine stuff was the rules were going to change. I just had a feeling about that, and especially with that now being a thing, I really believe that the Nets are the team if healthy. I just think they're so talented. Like I've said before, I think the Simmons trade is a better fit for them than having Harden.
Yeah.
And if they can get Durant back to full health, that team is fantastic. I mean, you've Patty Mills, even like Blake Griffin, who's not the same player he used to be, but I think in the playoffs he can make a big deal in terms of just being a defensive force and a guy who can occasionally hit those open jumpers. So
Yeah,
I think that team just overall is the best team
Yeah,
right
and
now.
kind of what we mentioned the last couple of weeks when we were talking about the trade, TJ, is getting Seth Curry, man. Like, Joe Harris was the issue last year. He couldn't hit an open shot to save his life, and now they got Seth Curry, who's really come into his own as an outside player.
Yep.
And Patty Mills.
And Patty Mills has obviously the big playoff experience with San Antonio. I still think Milwaukee comes out of the East, but, I mean, who knows? Who knows? All right, some other topics that I wanted to hit on, kind of that we stole from First Take, but a lot of Laker talk, guys, and I know, TJ, you don't like it, but we got to talk about them because
I mean, we don't have to. But
I know, but it's like LeBron just keeps saying all these weird, crazy things. Like, he doesn't have to talk like this. He doesn't have to credit Sam Presti for acquiring all kinds of draft picks and making all kinds of moves when LeBron is the de facto GM of the Lakers, and he's the one responsible for why his team is in the position that he's at. So how much of the Lakers' struggles do you put on LeBron, TJ?
He's not the GM. I mean, people think de facto he's the GM, but he's not signing checks. And
He's signing off on moves.
he's signing off on moves, but at some point, there's still someone there that has to be like, okay, we're going to do this, right? Like, so
Sure.
LeBron can only ask for so much. It's the people who actually have all that power that are, allowing it to happen. So, I mean, does he deserve some of the blame? Yeah, if these are the guys you wanted to play with, for sure. Can't put it all on him, though. At some point, you're the team president. You're the GM for a reason. Like, you have to exercise your power, and you let it happen. So, look, it's not making me lose sleep. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I understand.
It's not making me lose sleep. And if anything, it's like Anita Baker. It brings me joy.
Yeah, we're
okay?
Laker haters. all of us are Laker haters, which I totally understand.
But the fact that they're trying to put Rob Pelinka on the hot seat right now, I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, this
because
guy already won a championship for that team, and LeBron definitely agreed with his signings. There's no way he did those without him. And you need to give Pelinka a little more time. Give him next year before he's on the hot seat. You can't fire him after this year. That's crazy to me.
By the way, I said this months ago that Frank Vogel was not going to get fired. Remember,
And
I told you guys they were not going to fire him.
There was a little stretch there earlier, a couple months ago.
It
where it was
looked
like,
a little shaky.
If they lose Orlando tonight, he's getting fired.
But yeah, I knew he wasn't going to get fired. All
right, how about this? Let me put this out there. So LeBron has already said about he wants to play with Bronny, right? Totally cool, totally get it. Let's say Bronny didn't exist, okay?
Okay.
And so I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's going to finish his career not on the Lakers, right? I think
if Bronny doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying in this scenario where LeBron wants to play 1 or 2 years at the end of his career with Bronny, right? That's probably not going to be in Los Angeles.
Correct.
Right? So let's say Bronny doesn't exist. Would LeBron finish his career in LA? Or is this just like he's doing his thing where he like gets a little antsy and forces his way out because he did it in Cleveland twice and he did it in Miami where they had a super team?
That's a good question. I think it just depends on the future roster moves. I think even if Bronny didn't exist, that LeBron would sign 1-year deals and see what's happening. And if he doesn't have the right roster, then he would go to another team. And hopefully for him, it would probably be the Cavs. The Cavs have a young, upstart, good team. I mean, they're competing in the East ahead of schedule right now. Add LeBron to that Cleveland Cavalier team right now, and they're competing to win the East. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Now, TJ, let me ask you, why would the Cavs take LeBron?
I mean, why would they take who?
If you're the Cavs,
who'd you say?
If you're the Cavs, why would you add LeBron right now?
Is LeBron James?
What do you mean?
The Prince of Akron?
Think about it.
The guy who brought the Cavs their first and only championship?
Think about
the biggest name in the game?
Again, you're playing the past. We're talking about for the 2022-2023 season. Why would the Cavaliers...
Who were the vets on this Cavs team?
Add LeBron.
Who were the vets on this
LeBron
Cavs team?
is still averaging like 28, 29 a game. He's still a top 10
LeBron
player
is a
in the
guy
league.
that doesn't fit with Cleveland because he needs to dominate the ball. Cleveland is playing so well right now with ball movement, passing, defense, shooting. You add LeBron to that mix, suddenly everything gets shaken up. And look who you have to give up to get him.
No, he would sign. We're talking about it as a free agent.
Yeah, as
signing.
a free agent, they wouldn't have to get rid of anyone.
He could sign
if
for,
that were the case.
if he really wanted to, he could sign for the minimum, for veteran minimum, if he's trying to get one more ring.
He's not going to do that. I mean, come on.
He has all the money in the world. Why not?
But I guess if his plan comes to fruition and he tries to play with Bronny, then there's going to probably be a team where if he wants that, he's going to have to sign for the minimum. But who cares? He's got more money than he needs anyway. I'm never going to put a cap on someone's pockets, obviously, but I don't think money would be the factor in that case when it comes to playing with his son.
And I think I have a pretty good question. If Bronny is good enough to make the NBA, will a team draft him higher than he actually deserves
100%.
so they can get LeBron for just a year? Is that worth it for a team to do?
I would take Bronny number one.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Now you're just kind of contradicting yourself. Because
No, not really.
You wouldn't put him on
I'm
Cleveland.
not contradicting myself because Cleveland right now is ready-made to win.
Are they? Come on, let's
But
be
a
honest.
team that has
Is Cleveland really ready-made to win? Like, if the Cleveland Cavs go to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going to sit here and tell me you're not going to be beyond shot?
They're the 4 seed.
The
They're
Cavs
2.5
are not
games
meant to
behind
win the
them.
championship. They're not championship ready. They're not even close.
Because they're ahead of schedule.
But remember when I told you during football season when the when the Cardinals were like 8-9-0, and I was like, yeah, not buying it. And then what happened?
Well,
I'm not like the Cavs.
Injuries happen.
Yeah, they're playing great now, but like when it comes to the playoffs, who are their vets? They're going to like carry them when
Kevin Love, and that's really it.
Yeah, and
you also don't know what you don't know. Like these young players.
That's true, but what if the team that you're going up against does know what you don't know and more?
I think the Cavs making the second round of the playoffs is a tremendous success for them this year. If they can win one series, it is a huge success, and they're ahead of schedule. I do not think that team is close to championship ready. They have good young talent. In the future, they could be. I just don't think this is their year.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. But I'm saying a team maybe making the final 8 like Cleveland could if they win a playoff series is a lot different than a team that suddenly is picking in the top 3 and has a chance, we can add LeBron James to our roster if we just pick Bronny.
But okay, so here's the thing. What if that team will probably be a bad team if they have one of those top picks? Is it worth it taking a player like Bronny, who I'm just assuming might not be a top 5 or 10 pick at that time? Maybe he's like late first round type of talent. Is it worth it to get LeBron just for 1 year when you probably don't have the roster to win a championship to begin with?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It just depends on who the team, the franchise is.
Do you want to put butts in the seats? You get LeBron James.
Well, it depends if it's about butts in the seats or winning.
If you're Sacramento, Oklahoma City, Houston, Indiana, Orlando, of course you're
but then
like
you're mortgaging the future potentially for 1 year for a player in Bronny that might not be as good as a legit top 5 pick, assuming that's the case at the time.
Yeah, it comes down to the team because, like we said, like 1 year and you're going to draft a player. Let's just say that I don't even know who you could draft. Chet Holmgren, right? And even though Bronny's not in this draft, I'm just pointing this out.
Sure.
Because he's one of the few names of college kids that I know.
By the way, I was looking at a top 10 mock draft. He's the only name that I knew.
So imagine if you had him, right? But then you had Bronny, who, were looked at to go maybe like 19, 20 in the draft. Let's just say that. Would you pick Bronny over the guy who's ranked number 1 just for 8 months of LeBron?
Maybe not, but
no way.
But you might take Bronny in the top 10. Like if Bronny is like out of the lottery, right? Mm-hmm. You might take Bronny 8. if you think you're going to get LeBron.
Yeah, but I guess at 8, then it's all a crapshoot anyway,
Yeah,
right?
if say there's only like 3 top guys in the draft anyway.
It depends on the team,
Then
really.
you're kind of rolling the dice. Yeah, it just kind of depends in 3 or 4 years. I don't know how many years Bronny will stay in college.
Yeah, that's
I would
true.
assume he's going to play at Kentucky or Duke or somewhere big. It depends how many years he stays.
Or he might be out in USC or UCLA, you know.
Maybe, or he might do the Ignite G League or something. You know, you never
Maybe
know.
maybe he'll follow the Mellow route and go to like Scandinavia and then Estonia and then New Zealand and then somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle and then enter the draft.
Yeah, I just think it's a fun. I just think it's a fun conversation to kind of monitor because guess what? It's coming down the road in the next couple of years.
It gives us something to look forward to.
All right, really quickly, we can end on this. So we had Brian Windhorst on the other day, and he was talking about what's going on in New Orleans because it is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird what's going on between Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans. They acquire C.J. McCollum, a huge name in a trade, which I think is done to kind of appease Zion and be like, hey, no, we are trying to build around you. We have Brandon Ingram. We have all these good young players. Devontae Graham we made a deal for. But C.J. McCollum saying he is yet to speak to Zion. And now that trade is nearly 3 weeks old. That is really weird. Zion might need another foot surgery. That is really weird. We haven't seen him anywhere. Was he at All-Star Weekend? I didn't see him.
Nope.
I didn't see him anywhere. How do you gauge this situation that's going on with Zion, TJ? What do you think the solution is? Is Zion just trying to get to the Knicks? Like, what is going on?
I'll be honest, I could throw out a bunch of stuff here, but I have no idea.
Nobody
I don't
knows.
know.
It's
Nobody
crazy.
knows. I can't really speculate what's going on. Like our speculation a few months ago was like, hey, he's just going to bide his time till he gets to the Garden.
Well, that's when they acquired. It's when the Knicks
Yeah.
traded for Cam Reddish.
But Cam Reddish has played about 6 minutes
He's
a game, so I
barely
don't
played.
know
Yeah, I
if
don't
he
know what
even wants
Thibodeau's
to be
doing.
there. But they still got RJ Barrett, and of course that's the key.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. For me personally, my whole fantasy basketball season was shot because I picked Zion over Ja, and I picked Zion, and Ja got picked next, and then the guy that picked Ja is in first place and running away, and I'm stuck with a guy who has not suited up one time this year. So
Shout out for still stashing.
I don't understand. Yeah, I'm trying to drop him, but I can't find anybody worth dropping him for.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's
it's
going on
crazy.
here.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
so I'm a huge Duke basketball fan. I've been following them since I was a little kid. From when Zion joined that team, everybody at Duke said he's super friendly, he's engaging, he's charismatic, everybody liked him. And for him to go from that to all of a sudden being called essentially distant from JJ Redick, who is a Duke guy.
Yeah.
So you're having a Duke guy talk about another Duke guy. That's
Duke
the
on
brother.
Duke slander.
And that's the brotherhood, supposedly. Like, if he's saying that must mean something serious wrong is happening. I think it's just a situation where Zion doesn't like playing down there, and he wants to get out, and he's going to be as distant and uncooperative as possible to get out of that situation. I don't think he wants to play there. I think he wants to play, like you said, probably with the Knicks potentially, with his friends, or he just wants another situation. I just don't think he thinks he has a chance to win down there. I've heard from sources also that the Pelicans medical staff is not the best in the NBA.
Adam
Okay.
says.
Yeah, I got some sources,
Nice.
and I heard it's not the best in the NBA. So I think who knows how they're managing his foot issues. So I think it's just the combination of the health stuff, and he might not think he has a chance down there to win. So he's essentially trying to force his way out right now.
I'm curious. I'm not paying attention to Pelicans games, to be honest. Like, has Zion been on the bench at all during games? I'm curious if the second half of the year, if he's showing up to home games at least.
Yeah, I'm not even.
To be
sure.
honest, I haven't really.
Yeah, no,
seen-
I'm just saying something to look out for.
I think he's training in another. I think he might be training in like.
rehabbing somewhere else.
I think he's rehabbing in like Portland.
Oh, at the
from
Nike
what-
facility,
I think
maybe?
it might be. Yeah.
It's just weird. I mean, the guy's played 85 total games. For
and
the
he's average.
Pelicans.
What are his averages? Like 26 and 10 or something.
27 in 2021, 22 and a half in 1920, along with how many boards here?
Zion's a monster.
7 and 6.
He's a monster.
But it's like, has he given New Orleans a shot? Has he gone around? Has he, has he partied during Mardi Gras? Mondays, has he had the red beans and rice yet? Because I have, and let me tell you something, it's delicious. And Zion looks like he loves delicious food.
Oh, yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to stay in New Orleans? The one thing I got to do down there, I was working a whole lot when I went, was enjoy some of the local cuisine.
Best food ever, man.
Does he get to do some of the stuff that has New Orleans popping? Did he the top of Chopper Cheese Bridge, or however you say it, did he drive across that yet? Has he hung with Lil Wayne, and Chopper from making the band? Has he done all of these things that there are to do in Nolans? That's just my question. But the red beans and rice, that's very important.
Seems like no. See, it seems like Zion has eyes for somewhere else.
I guess so. Maybe he likes pizza more than red beans and rice.
Maybe he likes pizza.
And if you like pizza, there's only one place to go. And it's not L.A.
Lou Malnati's.
Hey,
Deep dish
Hey,
pizza.
come on now, buddy.
All right, let's wrap this up. Any big, bold predictions for the final stretch run here? About 25 games left of the NBA season, guys?
Big, bold predictions. Okay, here we go. I will be a homer, but I say that
Bulls get the 1
Bulls
seed?
get the 1 seed.
Hey.
The Bulls get the 1 seed. Let's go.
Way to
get
go
back.
out on a limb. They're tied for first in the East right now.
Hey, man, nobody thought this was going to be a thing. Billy Donovan also coach of the year. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. The Bulls, if they can get healthy for the stretch run, if Caruso can come back, is Lonzo coming back at all too?
Lonzo good.
Yeah, he should be pretty soon.
Yeah. Lonzo good.
Lonzo did good. How? Those are obviously two big pieces that you guys need back.
I have another quick bold statement. My beard is more legit than ever, and it is a full beard. TJ, what do you think? This has grown for 2 weeks now. Come on.
Grown. It's
you
scruff.
Can't have a full beard in 2 weeks. That's
not true, because
I can never win.
I had a friend in fifth grade. His name was Brian. If he shaved in the morning, by the time the buses came at 3, he had a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow.
Fifth grade?
Yeah, 5th grade. All right, Adam, I'll give you credit. What you have now is exponentially better and greater than what you had when this argument started.
Okay, yeah.
I would still say you're more like a 5 o'clock shadow guy. When you're talking beard, this is beard right here. You know what I'm saying?
TJ's got a full on beard.
Hard.
You need to take this through the rest of the season.
Yeah, playoff.
Are we getting that? Are we getting that pledge?
I'll make a pledge till next Wednesday, which will at that time it will be 3 weeks of not shaving. It should be legit. It should be like it might get a little patchy though.
If you go all that time, eventually when the grass
I'm saying,
it's gonna
take
grow.
it throughout the rest of the year and let's really see it grow in. If you
not,
really want to be part of the beard,
I don't want to look like an Orthodox Jew. Like, come on.
He's not committed to beard gang, man. That's why we won't have you.
The ladies aren't busting down your door. Who cares? Just try something different.
Hey, man.
Yeah, do a Costanza. If this isn't working for you, flip it.
TJ, Sixers bold prediction.
Oh, here we go. Here we go, Chris Brockman.
There's
24 games left in the season for the Sixers. Okay. Now, that means 24 games for James Harden and Joel Embiid to kind of work on that chemistry.
That's going to be fun.
Now, let's be very honest about this. Out of these 24 games, we're going to get a lot of DMP CDs out of here. So we're going to lose at least maybe 5 to 7 of these games because these guys ain't going to play, right? So that's going to give us about 17 games to see what they can do with one another. I don't know if that's enough time, to be honest with you, if you can kind of mesh and build a championship caliber team in 17 games. I think for me personally, my eyes are to the future. I'm kind of looking at the end of this year, yes, but especially next year, give them the full season together, see what parts we can put in there to, really complement those guys, and then see what happens. And so that's where I'm at with the Sixers. I'm excited, though. I'm very, very excited. And as for the Clippers, like I said, Ty Lue does more with less than any coach in the NBA. I'm telling you that right now. Clippers are going to make the playoffs. And, right now they're 30-31.
Yeah, 8 seed.
But
I think they're at least, obviously they're going to make the play-in. And I think they're going to make the playoffs. And they might be a team that you don't want to face in the first round just because they're so well coached and those players they're out to get it. So
yeah, second hottest team in the league, Boston Celtics, along with Phoenix, winners of 9 of 10 heading into the break. My bold prediction: we're currently 4.5 back. I say Boston is one of the top 4 teams in the East, gets a home playoff series, home court advantage in the first round. So we're gonna catch Cleveland. We're gonna pass the Cavs.
In the words of Kevin Garnett, anything's possible.
Oh, real quick, let's end on that.
Oh, okay.
Did you see the picture that Paul Pierce tweeted out or Instagrammed out with the three of them.
Yes,
looking all kumbaya and smiles.
Because the video told a completely different story.
The video when they announced Ray Allen.
Yeah.
So Paul is next to KG, is next to LeBron. The three of them on the forward list, right? So they do the guards last, as we mentioned.
So if you don't know, it goes left to right: Pierce, Garnett, LeBron. Just visualize that.
And so Ray Allen gets introduced, and he comes out, and KG, not even looking at him, like mean mugging, staring off into the distance, like lips snarled.
KG is like this.
He's so angry, like he's gonna go fight someone in the parking lot. Ray Allen does a big dap up with LeBron and everything. Then the next day, Monday, Paul Instagrams out a picture of the three of them: Paul, KG, Ray.
And Ray's kind of leaning on Kevin's shoulder a little bit.
They're kind of just like all smiles and laughs, and it made it seem like everything was fine and the beef was squashed.
I hope that's
Is
the
the
case.
beef over?
I hope so, man. I mean, it's done with. You guys.
It's been over a decade.
They achieved glory. They got to 2 finals. They were one Kendrick Perkins back spasm away from.
If Perk doesn't get hurt, we beat
2
the
rings.
Lakers that year. We go back to back.
So but obviously we weren't in the locker room. We don't know what was said and the feelings that were hurt. But at this point in life, all those guys seem to have great lives, right? And they had great careers. And it's just like, man, life's too short.
Yeah, move on.
Just
You got to move on.
Put it aside, because here's what's going to happen. At some point, you're going to have like a tragedy. God forbid. But then it's going to be like, man, you know what? I didn't hit my man up, and it really wasn't that serious. So I hope that that's the case.
Yeah,
and I hope that picture really tells the true story.
Like, forget about what you were beefing about in the first place.
Yeah, for
even
sure.
like a comparison, like even though it was a different situation, when Dennis Rodman went to the Bulls, Isaiah Thomas like still talks to him now, even though they were arch rivals back in the day, and he essentially went with a different team. And even during that 75th anniversary, Rodman was wearing a Bulls hat, which was a little weird. I mean, I think of him more as a Piston, even though he was a legendary player on the Bulls. Yeah. But you don't see like Isaiah like salty like that. So it's like you just gotta let it go.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe that. Like, here I was like, KG, pettiness, respect, never forgive him. And then they're all just like, hey, like what?
But why wouldn't you want that? You as a Celtics fan, you should want 20 years and 30 years. You should want that those reunions to happen.
Heat though, like he went
I know,
to them.
but Chris, he still got you that ring, though,
I know,
man.
but we could have kept winning.
Would you rather have not gotten that ring at all?
No, of course not,
so
but I'm
like,
just saying.
Bro, as much as I love basketball, my team hasn't won since 1983, so I would do anything to have that ring. So I'm saying, though, you want that. You want those reunions. Like, you don't want, like, one guy not to come when they're honoring the Celtics 15 years from now.
Pierce has been trying to broker the peace. Like, Rondo, obviously not in the 75th anniversary team, so he wasn't there, but I think Rondo is, like, really still pissed at Ray Allen. But, all right. All right, guys, that's going to do it this week. Rich Eisen Show, basketball podcast. That was really fun, recapping everything All-Star Weekend. We're getting ready for the second final push here to end the NBA season. More coming next week. All right, enjoy the ball. Peace out.
Later.
Later.